don't leave. Cannot go on without you, don't leave. Don't leave. Don't leave. Don't leave.
The Nigerian-born international scammer and Instagram celebrity Ramon Abbas, also known as Hushpuppi, is still facing trial in the United States of America for advance fee fraud. Prior to his arrest and extradition to the U.S. last year, he was alleged to be the ringleader of a gang of fraudsters that facilitated computer intrusion, business email compromise, fraud, and money laundering from his base in Dubai. The Federal Bureau of Investigation, which had been on his trail for years, said his victims, mostly in the U.S., had been dupe of hundreds of millions of dollars. If convicted, Abbas could spend the next 20 years in the U.S. federal prison. We'll be getting the latest update on his last court appearance on Tuesday. From the head Judicial Human Rights and Anti-Corruption Desk of Premium Times, Ade Somoju, and popular blogger and social media commentator Dr. Kemi Oluloyo, who will be following the trial virtually. Welcome to the show, Kemi and Ade. Kemi, you could start first and just give us an update, and Ade will give us an update afterwards. And it's a pleasure to have both of you. Good morning.
Rufai, good morning. Thank you so much for having me on Arise. Yes. Good morning.
Morning. So, Kemi, you go first. An update of what is happening.
Basically, I broke the story last year when they arrested him that evening. And then there was a point when I started connecting with all the Dubai reporters at the Gulf Times. And a lot of them would give me information back and forth as an investigative journalist. Now, what I did basically was, I just stood by on what was going on. 12 people were arrested. And then I got a tip that they were going to America. But it wasn't all 12. Two of them, Olale Komponle Woodbury, another socialite on Instagram, and Hushpuppi. So I kept updating the fact that they are not even in Dubai anymore. Those two were in, America. And I was trying to really find out how they got them there, because UAE and Nigeria don't have UAE and America don't have extradition treaties. So I discovered they went by extraordinary rendition, and the two that went were Hushpuppi and Woodbury. Now, the bottom line is this. When they got to the United States, there were all kinds of accusation charges. Remember, Nigerians were still bent on the fact that they were in Dubai. And some of our local newspapers were actually reporting that they're going to be extradited. Hushpuppi was going to be extradited to Nigeria. So it's very hard when you're an independent journalist and you have a mainstream paper saying something else. People don't want to believe you. Okay, so when they got to America, they were transferred to MCC, Metropolitan Correction Center in Chicago. And while they held them there, they were putting the charges together, the FBI. I had sources in the FBI, I had sources in the United States Secret Service, and even the State Department. These crimes were a small internet syndicate that turned into an elaborate heist. That's how I describe it. One simple internet scam. When Yahoo started, you had all our young people on computers coercing people to give them passwords, to give them advance fees. My dad's a famous prince. He has oil, and I want to get it out, blah, blah, blah. But this is what they call serious internet scam, mostly BEC, business email compromise, where they hack into company computers, companies' emails, and they take out huge amounts of money. Now, talking about heist, how do you enter a company's whatever? They fish into it. The word is phishing, and I want to use this opportunity on Arise News to actually say it. It's phishing. Our young people call it phishing. Oh, let's do some phishing. It's phishing. They fish into the computers. When they enter the computers of these companies, they don't steal right away. They sit there for 2 to 3 weeks to monitor how the companies are getting their invoices out, how the CEO is ordering money from the finance department downstairs, and how everything is working. When they study it well, they now clone the website of the company. They get into the email, of these CEOs and these finance department and trick them into sending money. And one of the main cases in this Hushpuppi case was that of a law firm who was refunding $922,000 back to their client. Their client refinanced a piece of real estate, and they were getting that money back. The paralegal, in the documents that the FBI put together, the paralegal, KC, is her initial. She was tricked into sending that money to a bank account, a Chase bank account, which actually belonged to Hushpuppi and not the client. $100 million from a Premier League soccer club. The FBI wouldn't tell us which one it is. I have people working in the FBI, and I have FBI sources who will tell me things. Kemi, don't mention my name. So putting all the sources in the FBI and the Secret Service, the United States Secret Service, broke the part of the story that had to do with the COVID ventilators. There were two people in this scam that orchestrated it. A Canadian-American called Galeb Alomari, and the second person was Hushpuppi. Galeb was the one doing all the hacking with his boys. He had all kinds of Romanian hackers, North Korean hackers working for him. And Hushpuppi was the one moving the money, laundering it with a lot of Nigerian young men working in his house. There was a room where they took 129 laptops and 47 phones. So they were doing the money part. He was doing the hacking part. Now, there was a point in which one of our OAPs here, Daddy Freeze, visited Dubai. And last year, he used that opportunity to visit Hushpuppi and wanted a tour of that house. So while they were eating dinner, if you go back to that video, you'll notice a part where Hushpuppi actually got up to go away into the room to make a phone call. That phone call, the FBI played it to us. Okay, left Freeze in the dining table, but he went to make that phone call. What's up, bro? That's Hushpuppi. Alomari, I'm on the plane. We're about to land. The signal is poor. 922,000 came in. Okay, big money came. Okay. He said, okay, send me the screenshot. Okay, when I get to the terminal, the plane will, when the plane gets to the terminal, the signal is back, the network. Okay. So Hushpuppi wanted the screenshot. So as Alomari got out of the plane, the FBI caught him, and that was the end of it. Now, when they caught Alomari, was it Alomari that outed Hushpuppi? Possibly. But also, Alomari's boys just got out $100 million from the COVID ventilator money.
All right, Madam Kemi, let me just tell you to hold on there, and we'll come back to you shortly. Let's bring in Ade Shumoju into this conversation as well. Thank you so much for joining us. As you have heard, and as we know, to a large extent, these were massive, sophisticated scams. But it would seem a dispute between members of the syndicate was their undoing. What exactly do we know about that dispute? How was all of this busted?
Like Kemi has done justice to the facts leading to the case. Nigerians were, Hushpuppi has been a figure many Nigerians, particularly the youth, have been looking up to. People wanted to be like him. He attributes his successes in businesses to hard work and the grace of God and all of that. So he was a sort of a role model. And when, like Don Kemi laid out, when the facts came, and the stories, came out, and Nigerians were really wanted to know what was really going on, and because of that, Premium Times devoted a lot of resources and human capital, monitoring the development, especially at the point where it got to court. You see, we cannot but emphasize at this stage how sophisticated the crime Hushpuppi was caught in is a transnational network of criminals. Yes, hacking into emails across the world, duping people of millions of dollars. As it is today, about $25 million have been linked to Hushpuppi alone. So, but you see the sophisticated crime being matched with sophisticated law enforcement and the judiciary. Hushpuppi was arrested in Dubai in June. By June 25, a charge was already pending in the U.S. And like Kemi said, he was actually expelled. There was no extradition law between the U.S. and Dubai. So he was expelled from Dubai and handed over to the FBI and brought to the U.S. By July 2, he landed in the U.S. And by August 1 or 2, he was already in court, pleading guilty. You know, and along the line, other crimes have been unraveled involving him. And, you know, to tell you how, I mean, where law is certain, law enforcement and efficient, things are, I mean, clockwork efficient. You see that by January, when he pleaded guilty in August, by January he changed his lawyer. I mean, in February he changed his lawyer, and in fact we were already preparing for the trial. He changed his lawyer in February, and the lawyer, that's Louis Shapiro, sometimes in March wrote the court and asking for the date to be shifted from May to July, which was yesterday. I mean, along the line, the U.S. government applied to the court to allow them to have some information, pieces of information on the documents to be handed over to the defense, redacted, so that it will, the names of co-conspirators that had yet to be arrested, identities, addresses, and all of that technical strategy deployed in prosecuting the case will also be shielded from the public. And that order was granted. So we were all expecting for trial yesterday when we saw this. So that is where we are. And as you go through the plea agreement he had with the United States government, he will be pleading guilty at a time to be fixed, because he will still be brought to court to officially plead guilty, to change his former not guilty plea to guilty. And after then, there will be a sentencing hearing. So I think that is where we are currently.
Well, Ade, thank you very much for those details. But two quick things. How did Premium Times manage to focus so much attention on that story without necessarily being on the ground in the United States? Maybe there's something you can tell us about that. But more importantly, Premium Times has a story about the plea bargain that Hushpuppi has entered into. If you could also help us outline the details of that plea bargain.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Bati. Of course, Hushpuppi, the kinds of Hushpuppi around the world, Nigerians, young Nigerians like him, we have many Nigerians doing well all across the world, but we also have a few of them who are actually giving Nigeria the bad name that people are quick to remember. When Hushpuppi was arrested, it was a mixed feeling here. Some people saw, considered the kind of influence that he commanded. Many Nigerians actually was saying, some were even saying they were lying against him. So it was an issue of public interest, and Premium Times, as we are known for, saw it as an issue that we need to really highlight, focus on, to really tell the world, to tell Nigerians what really happened, how bad this guy has done to our image as a country. So we deploy resources, we deploy focused attention. We had a network of journalists that we worked with, getting documents to have an accurate reporting on all the issues, blow by blow, up to what we had yesterday. Yes, talking about the plea bargain, I think one other thing that jumps out when I was reading to the document yesterday was how the judiciary, the law enforcement, the diligence, the sophistication, the dedication, and the resources they actually put in combating crimes. This is a crime that was described by the FBI as one of their most difficult form of cybercrime. The FBI said in 2019 alone, they lost. There was a record of a sum of $1.7 billion lost to business email compromise form of crime alone, when the hackers get into the business email of companies, they take charge of the conversations, they block the email, or they divert communication So they take advantage of ongoing conversations with business partners and unknowing to the victims. The communication will continue, thinking and they will now provide an account where funds that are meant to fund a particular project that was being discussed will be paid into. You see, so this is what really happened.
Okay.
If you look at the plea bargain,
Okay.
you know that.
Okay. Okay. Go ahead. Just go ahead. Just finish up that thought, Ade, before I
The plea bargain, you see. You see in the plea bargain the intention of government, law enforcement agencies to actually combat, to use crime to be, to use prosecution to be a form of deterrence to people. You see, a lot of rights have been waived that have, the rights to appeal, right to have speedy trial, right to, a lot of rights, constitutional rights that are supposed to inure to a defendant have been waived. And if you look at it, unlike what we have here, where people go into plea bargain just to...
Okay, Ade, let me bring Kemi in here. So, Kemi, what are the other things we should know as regards this case? You and Ade, you've done an extensive and very good job as regards bringing this out. So what are the other connections? Some other names, you mentioned, the likes of Woodbury. I think there was also the case of Mofa,
Mofa is not related to this case.
Okay, it's not related to this
Mofa
case.
is a BDC operator, and he actually works for his uncle.
Okay.
So his own case is with the EFCC.
Okay.
Now, what I wanted to say on what Ade said, what Ade said really needs to be taken very seriously. Premium Times is a newspaper that really focuses on investigative journalism. And for me personally, Ade said some things on the point of the media. Only Premium Times, myself, and you, Arise Now, analyzing it, really touch this case in deep. And if the government, has to look at the bigger picture, if they ask me, what do you want us to do? I will say, bring the Premium Times guy, myself, and let us sit with the ministers for technology, the ministers for finance, and the ministers for foreign affairs on a round table to discuss how this can stop. It is not just Hushpuppi. It's a lot of Nigerians. Now, Rufai, Dr. Abati, Adesua, are you aware that last night I got more documents from the FBI of this wristwatch that was purchased in January, February, and sent to Hushpuppi in Dubai for millions of dollars of nairas? These people that orchestrated that particular part of the scam, if you read the page 9 of the 29 documents of the plea agreement, you will see it there. These were like 4 girls, 4 women, and 3 guys in the United States. They just arrested them last week, July 22nd. So the arrests are still coming in, Now, let me tell you one part of that whole COVID thing. The $100 million were for ventilators for COVID. And what Donald Trump wanted was to put those funds were going through the United States Secret Service. They're another elite law enforcement agency. When Alamari hacked into it, reportedly, the $100 million came out. The $30 million, 30% is Hushpuppi's money, and the 70% is Alamari and his boys. So when Hushpuppi had heard, this is according to an FBI source, when Hushpuppi had heard that they've captured Alamari, rather than just go down low, lay low, whatever, he double-crossed. According to my source, he allegedly double-crossed Alamari's boys of that 70 million and kept the whole 100. Out of greed, those boys were the ones that tipped the FBI off on the entire operation. And they found a way to start looking for Hushpuppi. And then Hushpuppi flashed everything and all that. This is one of the reasons why he fired Jill Pisetsky and Vicky Portebeski, the first 2 lawyers who were saying, our client was kidnapped, our client is an influencer. That wouldn't work. I know Louis Shapiro. He's a very good lawyer. And I said it on my Instagram page. When Shapiro gets in there, he's just going to tell the feds, plea deal. And this is the problem we're having now with Woodbury. Olale Kwanle, the second in command. This is the boy that was in South Africa. Kwanle was in South Africa, and he fled South Africa because they wanted to kill him. There was one particular Yahoo over there called Alibaba. It was a big BEC, and a lot of money came out of it. And I heard our boys, were going to share that money, and Woodbury reportedly fled Dubai when he heard they're going to kill him. He didn't want to release the money. They were going to kill him, the cultist boys. And he fled to Dubai and moved with Hushpuppi. When he got to Dubai, he settled the boys. But at the end of the day, the BEC emails and the scams were still on Woodbury's phone. And that's why he's having a trouble now with his trial in Chicago. They have another lawyer that they've added to that case. I'm covering that too. The next date is August 6th. His name is Thomas Durkin. And Durkin is another very good lawyer. They're paying these lawyers huge amounts of sums. And Woodbury is in what they call a proffer, where they'll sit down with the feds and all that. And Woodbury has still not done that plea agreement. He needs to do the plea agreement because they'll give him 10 years, because he's facing 30 years. 10 instead of 30, like Obi Okeke. You know Obi-Wani Okeke. He confessed and they gave him 10 instead of 30. So this whole BEC stuff from South Africa was still on Woodbury's phone, and the lawyers have looked at it. So we're hoping in August 6th they'll decide to do a plea agreement too. If you notice, Hushpuppi's plea agreement was done in April 7th, and they just released it to us. They released it to us on the day of the trial 2 days ago. We are calling it, Premium Times and myself, we're calling into that system, PACER, P-A-C-E-R, United States Federal Court, system. They actually did PACER because of coronavirus. Okay. You dial in, you're accredited, you put your code, you can hear everything in the courtroom.
For want of time, I want to really chip in more questions here.
Sure.
You've been following this case. Premium Times has told us why they decided to go after this.
Yes.
What jumped at you? Why did you decide to follow this case? And if you could just answer as well, for a lot of Nigerians, or some Nigerians, this did not come as a surprise with the luxurious lifestyle Hushpuppi was flaunting on social media platforms. But why do you think anybody should pay attention to this case?
Okay, Adesua, let's get personal. You asked me why did I get into this case. One, I'm a journalist. Number two, the same question BBC asked me in London. BBC London called me. They noticed that Hushpuppi and I had some interaction, okay? I was curious. I wanted to follow what was going on. The interaction was years ago, when I came out of Port Harcourt prison, when I was detained. I was sick, very ill, and I had a huge medical bill, and I had to treat myself. So I did a fundraiser online, and I started going to the DMs of famous stars, people that had money, okay? I'm blunt. I needed the money. So I went to Hushpuppi's page, and I sent him a message, and I did a post. And he said I have to apologize to a certain blogger before he could give me money. I apologized to the blogger. The post is still on his page. I apologized to the blogger, and he didn't give me the money. And I called him. I said, you're a scammer. Okay, you scammed me. You let me apologize to my nemesis, and you scammed me. At the end of the day, I said something that some people picked up. You're a scammer. So when I heard this stuff, it came from one of the people in that house, Palazzo Versace, that afternoon, 4 o'clock, our time, 7 Dubai. Said they just arrested Hushpuppi. They just raided the house. They just, and that's how I broke the story. Then I followed it since then. And then one of the reporters at the Gulf called me and said, hey, Kemi, Hushpuppi going to America tomorrow. I'm speaking with his Arab accent. He said, Hushpuppi going to America. I said, America? How? Extraordinary rendition. Activists don't like it. They'll pull you from a third country. Look where Hushpuppi is. He's with the U.S. Marshals. He's not in a prison. You know where the Marshals are? They have 2 locations that I know of. One in Colorado, underground bunkers. They have a whole city under the ground. And the other one, Florida, in the middle of the ocean. Helicopters come and go. They can't escape. It's for dangerous fugitives. That's what they classified Hushpuppi as. And then I saw the charging documents. I saw the crimes. I saw everything. So I would say this case is going to end up with a sentence of, well, I'm not God and I'm not a judge, but with my FBI sources, all the U.S. law enforcement sources, and even sources in the U.S. Embassy. The U.S. Embassy here in Victoria Island has an FBI attaché in there, and they have, because they're doing that because it has changed everything about getting a visa. 2 weeks ago, some of our children who got I-20 visas are stealing 1.7 million, withdrawing it at ATM. We saw them. So the embassy has to be very careful who's getting the visas, and we want them not to let these kids be affected. The ones that are actually going to school and not doing Yahoo. And so with that being said, I'm looking at 15 years for Hushpuppi. Good behavior, clean, mop, do dishes, be good to other inmates, be respectful. He'll get out in 15 years. Well, now, after that 15 years, real quick, I know we don't have time, but after that 15 years, you got another big problem, okay? St. Nevis and Kitts, St. Christopher and Kitts, the passport he's carrying, they're going to revoke this passport. A government official is telling me. Okay, because proceeds of the crime purchase that passport. So we now have to look at investment passports. People can buy a passport for $150,000. Yes.
Yeah, we have just about a minute to go.
Okay.
Many young people look up to the likes of Invictus, Hushpuppi, Woodbury. What will you say to those young people who regard these persons as heroes in their own view, and they want to be like them.
What I say to them, I'm already saying it to them. Leave this Yahoo alone, okay? So it brings up the bigger picture, all right? We need money. We want the federal government. I'm saying this now on Arise, and I thank you for giving me this platform. We need the federal government to give us money. I did a content creation seminar 2 weeks ago. This is a 50,000 naira seminar. They don't have that to pay me. They don't have 30,000. I did it for 10,000, and some people did it. Others want to do it. We don't make money from this. But if the government puts this funding out for people like us, my headgear is coming out, for people like us that have this training, let us teach them how to blog, how to create content, how to do comedy skits, how to monetize it, how to make money on the internet, instead of them trying to steal all the time. This is what I'm telling the government. This next election, 2023, put out money to the people that can help the youth. Look at the boy from Abeg Technologies, 2 billion invested in Big Brother Nigeria, and Patricia, another 1 billion there. Young people sponsoring. The regular sponsors, you know, the detergent companies and all that, 200 million, they beat them out. Tech is the new oil. Let us use it well. Let's teach these kids to stop stealing with tech. And let the police know. We want the police and the EFCC to know that if they're carrying a laptop, they don't need to be profiled. It is not always Yahoo. Let us help these children. My children are not American, not Nigerian. They're American. 2 over there, 1 here. Okay? But these children here in Nigeria are Nigerians like me. And this is my country. Let me help them. They have nowhere to go.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Ade Adeshomoju and Kemi Olunloyo. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Rufai.
Thank you.
Thank you.
In order not to miss our next video, please subscribe and turn on the bell notification. Subscribe and turn on the bell. Thank you.